What's up there, workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and I am actually recording from a family member's house because that's just how the live letter works. This time we are going over part 1 of the 4.3 live letter. The official translation is not out as of the time of this recording, but I'm going off the unofficial as I just finished watching the live letter through, and I think we've got a lot of exciting things for you. Now, this live letter was entirely brought to you by Yoshida and FFXIV, and this is going to be Under the Moonlight and will be the end of the Doma chapter. Now, this is going to be given to us late May, so that 22nd or 29th time frame. And obviously, as we get part 2, that'll get us a better clue. Before they even announce it, just the date of part 2 will already kind of clue us in on which of those two it's going to be. Now, we are getting the basics that we always get. We're going to get main storyline. We're going to get some new side quests. The 4 lords are actually going to be inside the side quest this time instead of kind of how Byakko was treated last time. We got a couple of screenshots on that. Looks like Soroban. And we're getting more Hildebrand. Speaking of Hildebrand, if none of you had a chance to watch the Twitch live event for PAX East, where they kind of talked through how story is made, and then they had the localization guy here, that would be worth kind of seeking out and seeing if you can find that to watch, just on kind of how Hildebrand comes to be. And then we got new Beast Tribe confirmed, as expected. This is going to be centered on gatherers and crafters, and our new Beast Tribe is going to be the Namatsu, these little catfish people. We're going to be getting some kind of expansion with that on Azim Steppe. So it's always nice when we get Beast Quests and things like this to go back and use the big beautiful world that they created. There is a new mount confirmed. They're not ready to show us an image. They're going to save that probably for next time. Doma reconstruction is kind of the theme of this patch. So we are getting a new dungeon as expected. This is going to be the Swallow's Compass. They show us a couple of screenshots from this, and then we're going to be getting new trials, which is it'll basically be a main story trial and then a main story extreme. And the reason we can guess that is because they won't tell us who it is. They've confirmed that it's not in the trailer and that we will not find out who the trial is until we get actual patch drop. So if you want to speculate, Xenos or whoever, definitely drop that in the comments below. This does not involve the 4 beasts. They confirmed that, and they said that they are not going to give any hints until the patch drops. There will be a new Alliance raid. This is a return to Ivalice. The Reedorana Lighthouse. Kind of looks like a factory in the sky. Pretty exciting. I saw somebody was saying in the chat that this was from Final Fantasy XII, so, you know, if there's any callbacks there, definitely go look for those. And there will also be Crafter and Gatherer side stories for the Alliance raid, and there will be more details on that with the next live letter. I think that's a really exciting promise, and I look forward to seeing how they want those players to engage. The loot system is going to be moving to all greed. And this means that you don't have really any advantage for playing the class you want loot on. I can see wanting to do that to encourage tanks and healers, but just letting everybody roll on everything seems a little odd. So I'd love to see kind of why they went that direction, because now you don't have people having to play the class that they have to play to get the loot. So I don't know. Moving to that late patch cycle also makes sense. So I guess I don't understand this move, but that's what they've announced. A new deep dungeon, Heaven on the High. This is the Jenga Tower, as expected. This is going to be for all of your battle classes, level 60 or higher. There's going to be 100 floors, and it can be done solo or in a 4-person party, but levels 31 and beyond is designed to be that kind of high-end content for 4-player parties. That's what it's balanced against. Yoshida said it's more Jenga than before. That definitely made me laugh. Will be a grand summoning involved in this, using your Magitech inside to do it. They'd like to move towards guild versus guild summoning, but they're just not there yet, is kind of what they made it sound like. Eureka, we're getting an expansion to Eureka in 4.35. So it's nice to see that content getting updated. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the current content and how they kind of learn from it, and how they, I guess, make it somewhat irrelevant so that we're encouraged to do the new stuff, but still create a path for everybody to move through that. So this is going to be the Pagos expedition. That's your snow element. And so they showed us a couple beautiful screenshots from that. And then A new ultimate, the Minstrel's Ballad, the Weapon's Refrain, Ultima Weapon. Ultima Weapon is scheduled for 4.31, so it won't be there necessarily on patch day. I don't know that that's going to be a problem for the majority of the population with kind of just how long it takes us to process everything else, but I'm sure there's a handful of players that will want to know about that delay. This is going to be shorter than Bahamut is one of the big feedback things that they said. So instead of being a roughly kind of 20-minute encounter, hopefully they'll kind of shave this down to that like 15-minute time frame. Job adjustments. The changes are done. They're beta testing them now, and they are just kind of working through the bugs. The primary classes that they focused this patch cycle are Dark Knight, Samurai, and Astrologian. Those will be the main changes. They did imply that, you know, there will be changes to Black Mage and other classes. They're not shocked there, but those are kind of the three big changes. They didn't say if those were buffs or nerfs, so they are just saying adjustments. The Feast HUD is going to get adjusted, and the Crystal Tower Training Grounds map is going to be revised. I'm sure that that's just based on the initial feedback, since that's relatively new content. The Frontline Daily Campaign Rotation. This is something PvP has needed drastically for a while. We are getting a way that they can say, okay, this is the Frontlines map of the day, and so I think that's a really positive direction for PvP. These PvP changes largely don't affect the majority of the population long term, but it is nice to see them making that effort. Glamour system updates. Items converted into Glamour can be reclaimed, and so you can use it a little more as a storage system, or if you've put things in there that you wish you could get back, you now can. You're also going to be able to manage your Adventure Squadron unit appearance via the Glamour Dresser, and so I think that's a really nice touch, and I'd love to see an unlock system there where as you kind of work through different squadrons and things, you're able to kind of store those appearances, but we'll just have to see exactly how that's implemented. Performance action updates, you are getting some new note sounds based on player feedback. He kind of said that this was an enormous number of resources they put towards something. It didn't seem like he thought was a big impact, but there was there was some excitement in the audience, so hopefully that excites you. Housing updates. You're going to be getting a guest book, and so what this does is it allows you to leave comments for other people to leave comments for you, for them to like it. I cannot imagine this is going to be all positive feedback. I'm sure some people are going to leave some pretty nasty comments, so I don't know really what the goal for this content is. There's also going to be a mannequin feature implemented now, which they say is going to be linked to the market board. They didn't really explain that representation, and then a lot of this was designed for the RP players. So hopefully that means that you can kind of put things on display and then they can be bought and sold and all that. So it would be awesome to see a little more detail on this in the next live letter. Additional updates, duty roulettes. There is a raid added. That doesn't seem unreasonable as we add the number of raids to an expansion. That's a roulette that starts to make sense when you have some variety there. New custom deliveries client. There's an NPC as a secret. They did confirm that it's not one of our lovely Makote, the cat people, and that you can dress that NPC. Now, this is one of the more exciting technical things of this live letter, that they are making cross-world link shells possible. Now, these are going to be capped at 64 people until they can decide how stable they are. So hopefully that's 4.35, we see an adjustment, 4.4, we see an adjustment. Based on the pacing of these patches, it could be very easy to see us going to a 4.6 before the expansion, which is historically longer than the previous expansions that have gone, but they said that going into Stormblood, so it just feels like confirmation that that is the direction they're going. And then we got our companion app. So this is long overdue, something we were very excited about. This is going to be on the Apple Store and the Android Store. They did see the Android ones have a couple of bugs left to fix, but the Apple ones seemed like they were working. They had a couple errors pop up as they're trying to show it off, but it's not live. So when one of the errors popped up and told him that he wasn't running the newest version, he clicked on the link, it took him to the App Store, and he kind of joked, well, it's not on the App Store. So they did eventually get it working. The companion app is going to do a couple of things, and there's going to be a paid version and a free version. The free version is going to allow you to chat with other people, though it doesn't necessarily, based on the interface, I don't read Japanese, but it doesn't look like it was tying into your link shells, which seems like an oversight, at least for the American market, where it's my impression that most of us use other things like Discord and all that. So if I'm not looking to carry on my link shell conversations offline, then odds are I'm already moving to an outside chat app. This is going to have things like schedulers, and then you're going to be able to get to your inventory and organize that in your armory chest. You're going to be able to look around the market board. And then we move over to the premium plan. This is going to allow you to also modify, move things around in your saddlebags and your retainer inventories. It's going to double the capacity of your saddlebags, and it's going to give you an additional retainer counting towards a cap of 10, not 9. So this is a new and additional retainer. This is going to be right around $5 a month, but with that retainer built in, that's obviously a big piece of that. And every day that you log on to, it sounded like the app, based on the way this was translated, you're going to receive a Kupo nut. And a Kupo nut is going to be given to you, and when you give that to a Moogle, you can use that as a token to purchase or list or modify an existing listing on the auction house. So this is what's going to allow you to interact in that way. The premium members are going to be given an additional at least 1 nut a day, and they're going to have a higher cap that they can save up. But the free players, you're going to be limited on that. So that's just yet another currency from them. Moogle coins is going to be used instead of nuts for these services. They're talking about adding services for Moogle coins down the road. They don't really have any of those yet. They're waiting on player feedback. That seems like they're kind of introducing a premium so that you can buy Moogle coins and things like that. So they haven't released a pricing structure. It would be interesting to see kind of how they see this going. I can see the fear with introducing a currency like this is a way to counteract people who are going to go create bots and scripts to manipulate the market, because you're limiting the number of transactions they get. But you're also inherently kind of saying to the average player that it's easier to just go home and manage your listings. And so that's really it. Beyond this, they did move into a Q&A. I stuck around for the Q&A this time. I usually don't, but I thought there were a lot of really good questions in the forums, and so I wanted to stick around because I didn't think this was just going to be going over kind of marketing and things like that, where that's a little easier to just go out and check on the website after the fact. And so I did want to move into part 2 of this and say that the first question was, what kind of job does the global community producer do? And that's FFXIV's job. He wears a lot of hats around the Square Enix team, and so you definitely know that he's involved, but it's not real clear on what he does. So what he handles is the GM team, the community team, the customer support team, and he does that globally. So that's the Japanese, London, LA, like that's everything. Then they say, okay, well, when do game masters work? What are those shifts that he's kind of in charge of scheduling out? And they work 3 shifts that last a total each. Obviously, they cover 24 hours, so they work one shift a day. Before entering Final Fantasy XIV, he worked on 11. He also worked on Ultima Online, the JP server, as a GM there. So he's been around a long time around the industry. He was once responsible for summoning a bunch of monsters during the 1.0 days. So those of you that remember those monsters kind of coming in waves, he was behind that. I was not part of that. They said when he gets angry, would he punch Yoshida? And so there were some joking questions in here. I was really hoping for some more serious ones. We honestly didn't get very many. Jumping on down, they did talk about bot measures in PvP. He commented, in order to deal with those, he has a special task force established to root out the bots in PvP that exist to win unfairly. It evaluates how the bot acts, the situation, and explains further how they deal with it. They have a legal team that's behind this, and so he didn't really explain any technical details, only that there is an entire team of people that are responsible for searching this down. At least as of this point, I don't know how long and how robust that team has been in the past, but he did encourage players to never relent and continue reporting them. And I love the kind of elaborate language that Japanese often translates into. Basically, once a player has found out botting, the following and subsequent bots can easily be rooted out because they detect the pattern. So it sounds a lot like the early discussions of Warden in WoW, if you were there when botting really became rampant for several years and then kind of went a little by the wayside because it got much easier for them to detect over time. They got asked about DDoSes on European servers. They basically said that they're obviously looking at ways to solve this. And some of them they are making huge strides on. Others of them are much slower to make strides on because they relate to issues that they're going to have to solve alongside an ISP. So that's a much bigger problem. Then they went into an entire thing on the difference between a temporary suspension and a permanent suspension. And he had a whole slideshow that had these goofy, almost childish images going over how penalties work, and when you can get certain bans, when you can lose your account. And then they went off into contest winners. And so I was really hoping they were going to tackle a lot more difficult user questions here. But I really didn't see them dive into a lot of that. So maybe they're saving some of those for the second part of this live letter, which we'll get kind of usually within that 2-week period right before a patch drops. So, you know, if we get that in the middle of the month, then that's obviously going to mean it's that last week of the month that it drops. If we get that early month, then that's where we're thinking that it might be that 22nd date, based on what they implied. So I would love to see any comments below on what you guys think, what you expected, what you didn't expect. I am overjoyed that they're coming out with the app, I guess on time, for lack of a better term. It does seem like there's, you know, some little things like cross-world link shells that are nice quality of life, that are easy to overlook right now, but are going to make a huge difference in how complete this game feels over the next several years every time they add a change like that. The rest of it didn't really shock me. I look forward to getting into the new Deep Dungeon. I look forward to getting into the new content and getting a feel for just what all changed. But hopefully you guys are having a fantastic weekend. And Brian and I have another post coming up today from me kind of explaining our lack of content this week. And so hopefully that kind of gives you guys a glimpse into that, and expect normal programming to resume pretty much immediately. So we're working towards that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for watching. YouTube has a pretty cool video waiting for you over here. Our latest vlog is down below. For those of you new, subscribe is over here. And all of our other contact info is just right below me here. Thanks for watching.